さんこんばんは。今日のトピックがアルファメタンフェンタナル。この薬はすごく危ないですよ。今日のメッセージを聞いてください。
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to be discussing an urgent report on a synthetic, powerful opioid that is responsible for countless overdoses and devastating health effects across the country. We're talking about China White, aka alpha methamphetamine. It may look like just some innocent white powder. China White is extremely potent and is a dangerous drug. Let's explore its origins, how it affects the body, and why it possesses such a serious threat to us. Thanks, Veronica. China White actually first emerged in the 1970s, a time where American drug culture was completely transformed. It's a synthetic opioid, and it was developed by a team of chemists at Janssen Pharmaceutica. They were actually looking to expand the repertoire of fentanyl derivatives. Later, the drug's chemical properties made it more appealing for further investigation and research context. However, though, its non-medical potential was later exploited by other laboratories. So, because it was originally designed to mimic fentanyl, the drug gained rapid popularity in the 1980s since it was a heroin alternative, especially in places like California. But because of its extreme potency and euphoric effects, it really trademarked on that name. So what exactly makes China White? Well, it's a white powdery substance which got its name from its appearance. But don't be fooled, because the drug is actually 600 times more stronger than morphine is. So that means it's highly addictive and incredibly dangerous even in microdoses. Let's see what the public knows about alpha methamphetamine. Oh, excuse me, sir. If you wouldn't mind, what can you tell me that you know about alpha methamphetamine?
All I know is it's not good, and it has a lot of negative side effects, and it kills a lot of people each year.
You guys heard it here first. Even the public knows about the consequences. Let's dive into a little bit more knowledge for it, though. Okay. Let's talk about the mechanism of action for alpha methamphetamine. So China White actually works by binding mu opioid receptors in the brain's central nervous system. These receptors normally respond to endorphins, so that's going to be your body's natural painkillers, and the drug mimics these endorphins, triggering an intense release of dopamine, which then causes euphoria and pain relief. However, it is depressing vital automatic functions, essentially like breathing, which that is what causes fatal overdoses. In the simplest term, we want to say that alpha methamphetamine is disrupting neural signaling, slowing down the body's automatic processes. If you want to get more technical with it, the drug is acting as an agonist at the mu opioid receptor. This particular receptor is involved in modulating pain, perception, reward, respiratory functions. After the binding at the MOR, the drug inhibits the enzyme adenyl cyclase that leads to the reduction in cyclic AMP levels within neurons. With these lower levels, the release of exit neurotransmitters then decrease for substances like glutamate. This causes activation of opioid receptors, increasing potassium influx and calcium influx in neurons. With the hyperpolarization, it reduces neuron exit accessibility and inhibits the release of neurotransmitters involved in pain signaling. By reducing these transmissions of pain signals to the CNS, alpha methamphetamine produces analgesia. And just like other opioids, it can produce euphoria and respiratory depression due to its effect on the brain's respiratory centers. So because of China White's high potency and rapid absorption into the bloodstream, it also affects the body's skin, hair, nails, and glands, components of what all doctors would call the integumentary system. That's right, hair, skin, nails, all those like major factors that you're used to seeing every day in the mirror. More specifically, it's a system that protects the body from its environment. It acts as a physical barrier to shield the body from bacteria, infections, injuries, and UV light. Not to mention, it also helps regulate the body's temperature, retains fluids, and eliminates waste. So China White is actually classified as a Schedule 1 drug by the DEA, meaning it has no accepted medical use and its high potential for abuse. Communities across the nation today are struggling with the devastating effects of synthetic opioids just like China White. We actually got to get a testimony from a former user. What can you tell me about your experience with alpha methamphetamine or China White?
It starts with a little itch or redness, but over time, your skin breaks down from all the injections and infections. Healing feels impossible.
You heard it here first, folks. And now to our medical expert's testimony.
Well, the drug's effects on the nervous system are quite profound. Besides offering just basic pain relief, it does slow down your nervous system and your breathing, making the risk of complications in breathing exponentially higher, increasing the risk of overdose, death, respiratory failure, and a lot of other worse complications.
So beyond the other personal health risks, what are the other risks that we're seeing from China White? Or better yet, what are the consequences that we're seeing?
So, well, beyond personal health risks, China White's abuse costs millions in healthcare for infections and overdoses. A drug called Nexanon. It actually is a life-saving antidote for opioid abuse, and it often requires a very, very high dosage to counteract the opioids itself. And because of the potency of China White, it does require a higher dosage, making the emergency response in order to help that individual a lot more complicated. So there are a lot of factors and a lot of, I would say, risks that we're seeing lately.
Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
Oh, sorry, forgot we were doing this today. Right, so to understand China White's power, let's look at its ADME profile. So we're talking absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion of it. You know how it only takes 2 minutes to brush your teeth? Well, it's the same kind of thing once fentanyl is taken orally. 2 minutes, it's already absorbed through the body, and then it heads over to the intestinal tract where it takes 2 hours to process. So let's talk about absorption, like true absorption. China White is highly lipophilic, so that means it's rapidly entering through your bloodstream through multiple different areas. We're talking probably injection, smoking, snorting, and even through the skin. That's right. You know, it only takes about maybe like 30 seconds to a couple minutes for your skin to absorb like a skincare product. This is not sponsored, but it's kind of the same thing with fentanyl. Through non-oral routes, the bypass on the liver's first pass metabolism, leading to higher drug levels in the body. Now let's talk distribution. For distribution, once it's absorbed, it spreads all across the body extensively. Especially we're talking it's crossing the blood to brain barrier now, and it's easily affecting brain function very dramatically. Now let's talk about metabolism. So the liver breaks down China White slowly due to its chemical structure, but it's a very slow like metabolism that prolongs its effects, that increases overdose risk. For excretion, the body actually will eliminate the drug mainly through urine. However, when metabolism is slow, the drug can accumulate, which then increases its toxicity.
Some of the neurotransmitters that are going to be involved are going to include endorphins, which interferes with dopamine. You know, that thing that creates a sense of reward and euphoria? Yep, that one. And then we've got norepinephrine, which suppresses sympathetic responses, slows breathing, and the heart rate down.
Excuse me, we're missing critical data here, people. Oh, sorry. Back to the program. So, anyways, this combination of rapid absorption, wide distribution, and slow metabolism explains why China White is so potent and dangerous, because even the little tiny miscalculation in the dosage can lead to respiratory failure and even death. Gotta go.
We see a lot of clinical manifestations on the body. So we're going to see anything from sedation and pain relief to respiratory depression, which is what leads to potential overdose. We see the skin changes like itching, redness, and infection, and also gastrointestinal issues, aka constipation. Nowadays, the cultural references are pretty minimal, typically featured in crime dramas to depict the opioid crisis. For criminal justice reform, there are often advocates that argue for harm reduction strategies like safe consumption sites to reduce overdose deaths. Remember, China White is not just a street name. It's a deadly drug with serious consequences for your body and for the community. Protect yourself, your loved ones, and your future by saying no to drugs. Stay informed, stay safe, and reach out for support if you need it. This has been your special report, and we'll continue to keep you updated on ways to fight the opioid crisis together. 麻薬に乗うという。Di no a las drogas. Protect your health, protect your life. Good night and take care.